To shorten it up, I'm a one-man band. I actually got so involved in beatboxing that I stopped playing guitar for about a year.
If you want longevity, these are things that you're going to have to think about.
How do I know if I'm doing anything right? And imagine like thrash metal type guitar stuff while I'm beatboxing.
That's part of life, right? You don't know what direction, which fork in the road sometimes you're going to go. Wow.
And
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's up, man?
I'm just waiting for the tea to finish brewing.
Oh, nice.
Oh God, there's the timer. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Nice. Gotta have the tea going.
Yeah, dude. I got it in this awesome Zelda mug.
Nice. What's your go-to tea?
I got a few of them, but this one's right here is Bigelow Ginger Honey. I've got some Harney and Sons Irish breakfasts. Got their yellow and blue blend. And I'm not sure what else I have out there. I need to get some African Autumn. I haven't had that in a really long time.
I've never even heard of that. That sounds awesome.
It is. It's a very unique flavor.
Yeah, my go-to is usually just chamomile. It's not like super flavored, but yeah, I need to get into more of the different tea flavors.
I got into it a while ago just as a means to take care of my voice, because I do a lot of crazy stuff with my voice.
I was going to ask, I wonder if that's related to the performance aspect too, or if you just enjoy drinking it as like a calm down type of vibe.
Both. 100% both.
Well, yeah, I'm feeling good. If you're good to go, we can just get started. I mean, that was a pretty cool start, honestly. Talking about tea, kind of just like a nice chill way to start it off.
I'm all ready to go if you are.
Beatbox Jake, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, I guess I'll start off with a little bit of gratitude. I took a little time off of Craft Talk, maybe a few months. It's one of those things, and I don't know if you experience this as an artist, as a creative person. It starts off as like, I'm just going to take a little time off because I was going to do a house project. And I think when we were messaging, that's what we were trying to figure out when to do this. And I was like, well, I got to do this house project, so I'll reach out to you after. And of course, that couple-week project turns into 1 month. The 1 month turns into like, you know what? It's summertime. I'm going to enjoy my summer. Let me just take another month off. And then that other month turned into another month. And it kind of got to a point where it was like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this anymore? Yeah. I don't know if you get like that ever, but right around that time was when you reached back out again to say, hey, I'm still interested. I like your podcast, still interested in chatting with you. So this is kind of my first interview back from that break. So I just wanted to say I appreciate your patience and also just encouraging words. And you didn't even know that you were doing it, but you said that you really liked the podcast. You're helping me shake the rust off and kind of getting back into it. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you for that.
Yeah, I like you, and I like the way you interview and the how clearly the kindness aspect of your personality comes through when you're doing interviews and talking with people. So
wow.
Yeah, that made me excited for just that particular experience, because I've done been on a few podcasts and I hosted a couple. It's just refreshing to see.
That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's, for us never meeting each other, it's always kind of like one of those weird things. You're like, how are we going to vibe? How are we going to get along? But, I could tell right from the beginning, we were just talking about tea. Like that's just like how you naturally enter conversation. And it's not like an official, I always treat this thing as just like a casual thing to learn more about my guest. So yeah, I guess enough of me talking. I would love for you to explain what you do. Is probably better experienced than explained. But if you could explain what you do and how you share what you do to people.
Okay. I'm weird. So
Perfect.
I'm a combination. It's like a lot of explaining to really nail down what it is that I do as a solo act. To shorten it up, I'm a one-man band. But that doesn't necessarily explain the whole thing, because I am both a very focused and adept guitarist, and I'm also a very focused and adept beatboxer, and I pair the two together with a looper. If you're a fan of people like Joe Satriani or Steve Vai or Eric Johnson, Paul Gilbert, or I don't know, Tosin Abasi. I'm not quite doing the same thing he is, but you'd probably like the way that I play guitar and the type of music that I make, which tends to be like instrumental rock with some, blues influence, and it's very much informed by scale theory and chord theory and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, I get to do hip hop type stuff because I'm a beatboxer. Even though I do more of a new school style of it, that's the blend. And I've also created a third category that I call Beatbox Metal, which is where I do both at once. And imagine like thrash metal type guitar stuff while I'm beatboxing. And it's just those two things happening at once. But it's my hands and my voice just kind of going at it live. That's something that nobody else does as far as I can tell. I've done a lot of searching on the internet, trying to find other people doing it, and I can't find anybody. And I was even interviewed by the Livingston County Post, and the article never came out for that interview. But when he was talking with me, the guy told me that he was going to credit me with the creation of that because even he couldn't find anybody. So,
I mean, brilliant. I mean, the genre of beatbox metal is so brilliantly like it just explains itself. Beatbox metal, right? Yeah, I was actually going to ask you if you are aware of anybody else that does something similar to that, because it is such a unique thing, and it sounds like you haven't really found anybody even close. Is that what you found?
So far, no. I've seen people who are playing guitar and beatboxing, but not the way I'm doing it. They're not playing metal riffs, and they're not doing shred stuff. I'm not, and even saying that I'm a shredder doesn't fully encapsulate the way I play. Like there's melodies and there's flashy techniques and all that kind of stuff. Everything that makes me excited about the guitar is there.
Yeah. Is there a connotation with like the term shredder that you think is inaccurate or maybe missing some pieces?
When I explain that when somebody says I'm a shredder, I think immediately people think that it's just constant note ripping, just the whole time, like maybe a Slayer solo or something like that. And as much as I love that style of music, I'm much more informed by Satriani, Vai, Johnson, Gilbert, even Malmsteen and Zakk Wylde. There has to be, because if I'm playing that way, because I love lots of notes. I love just ballistic playing. My brain likes busyness from music, but not everybody else likes that. And I wanted to be able to connect with an audience or a listener with my playing. And I don't think I'd be able to on a very broad scale if I played like that. Obviously, bands like Slayer and Razor and maybe Metallica, Sacrifice, all those types of bands, they have followings. They've connected with all kinds of people, all kinds of listeners on a deep level, but it's not for everybody. And it's hard to listen to someone like Joe Satriani and say that it's not good music or that it's just noise, because the melodies are there. There's a story being told. So that's what I strive for. And I don't think the term shredder encapsulates that.
Right. I get that. You're almost like adding a layer of curation to the flashiness of what people would consider as shredding. And like you said, just like notes upon notes upon notes, Flight of the Bumblebee, just like insane, impressive movement and fast, right? But then there's a level of nuance that you're able to add to the music rather than just like notes strung together. It's music. And I was actually curious, so Beatbox Metal, I can't imagine that you just landed right on Beatbox Metal and just thought of it day one. I'm curious what the journey is. Walk me back to like, it sounds like you started guitar first. Yeah?
Yeah, I've been playing guitar for about 21 years, and I've been beatboxing for like 11.
So walk me through that progression. You started off as a guitarist, and maybe where your vision was as a guitarist, and then when it started to shift, and then eventually land on Beatbox Metal.
I started playing guitar when I was 9, and it was me trying to figure out like simple riffs, Johnny Cash stuff. Later I found Nirvana and realized you could make really good music with just power chords, and that became a thing for a while for me.
Yeah.
And then I heard Slayer for the first time at 13, and I was like, I need to be able to do that. I don't know. I've never heard anything like this. This is crazy. And it was very exciting for me. And then as time went on, I knew that wasn't quite what I wanted to do as a musician. This is over years that I was struggling. I'm like, I really like playing guitar and I want to do stuff with it. I don't know what though. I was starting to kind of get a sound, but I also realized I needed a whole band to do it. And I didn't want that either. I don't like the idea of being in a band. Not saying I'll never do it, but being a one-man show has afforded me a lot of not only freedom to do things the way that I want, but also the ability to be as professional as possible and actually show up early to things and not have to worry about, you know,
the drummer,
some flaky musician that is attached to the name of a band that I'm in. You know, not that all musicians are flaky, but you know, there's a lot of them that are. I knew that I wanted to be a solo act, and I didn't know how to do that. I was playing around with rap and all kind. I knew that I liked singing kind of, but I didn't want to rely on it necessarily. Let's see, I was 19, so I'd been playing guitar for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to try stand-up comedy. So I looked up open mics around the area, and this one popped up at a brewery right next door, or in the town next door in Brighton. Not knowing it was a music open mic, I went to it, and everybody else there had an acoustic guitar, and I was like, oh, I'll bring my guitar next week. So I did, played some of these dark acoustic songs I had written, and then I was still at my first job at the time, which was Salvation Army. And this girl, Alicia, shout out to you if you watch this.
Shout outs to Alicia.
She told me that her boyfriend Cody was drunk one night trying to beatbox. And I didn't know that beatboxing could be done well. I thought it was just this little thing people did on the street corners as a simulation thing, or maybe even as a joke.
Yeah.
So I went on YouTube and I looked it up, and I saw this guy, Dave Crow, who's from England, doing it out in the streets of somewhere. I think London, but I don't know. And he was doing all the, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Was this around the time where like dubstep was just like insanely big?
This was probably after a little bit.
Okay.
I also love electronic music, and I always wanted an outlet for that, but I didn't want to buy all the equipment and all that. And another thing that frustrated me about electronic music at the time, now it doesn't at all because I get it, was being a big metalhead and liking bands like Slipknot and Lamb of God and, you know, whoever. The fact that the music sounded so heavy and crazy in EDM, but the performers at a table not moving weirded me out so much, because I didn't understand how it was made at the time. Doing that on a microphone afforded me the ability to move around and be in time with the audience, and I could also switch it up probably more than a DJ could, even in most scenarios. I say that with a lot of assumption. I still am not an expert or anything, or even knowledgeable on the way that EDM is made. When I found out about that, the open mic was the day after, and while the guy was packing up his gear for the open mic, I was like, can I try something real quick? And I took the mic and I went like really crappy versions of those, and the way it came out of the speaker,
you just like did it,
just to try it, you know. And I was pretty obsessed from there, like how much more power there was coming out of the speaker, and his reaction, because he wasn't even expecting something like that. So yeah, and then I found this other guy named Reaps One, who's also from England, and he made me want to get good at it. And you can definitely hear his style in mine. 100% you can. To answer your question, getting to the beatbox metal thing, other musicians at the open mic were like, you need to combine the guitar and the beatboxing somehow. And I started trying stuff at home.
Sorry, in the open mic, did you do the guitar or did you do stand-up?
I only did stand up one time. I improvised it. It was hot garbage. Oh yeah, it was terrible. Thankfully, the audience was really nice, but you know, it was the obvious they're being nice thing.
Have you done stand up before?
Not before then, no.
Wow.
And that's also
really
the only
interesting.
time I've ever tried it.
I'm noticing a pattern with you. You jump in head first, like without even trying. You just get on the stage and you just start doing it. Is that accurate? Is that a common thing that you do?
It seems to be, because the first couple times I actually performed at an open mic, I had a little bit of stage fright and then it went away, which is great. Thankfully,
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people don't have it that lucky. Even some of the most seasoned performers still have it. And I get nervous sometimes when I play a new place. Like I'm going to be playing, 2 or 3 new places on this tour in October. So I'm going to have some kind of nervousness, but
Yeah.
it tends to go away after halfway through the first song. Or no, like right when I start, because then it's just me and my guitar and my beatboxing, and it's, everything. My guitar's keeping me safe. Everything's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of feels like home a little bit. I envy that in the sense that, I don't know, maybe a lot of people, whenever they're trying something new, they kind of want to hide a little bit first to see if this is something they can do. But it's really fascinating that you are on the opposite end, at least in these scenarios where you just went up there, do stand up, it didn't go well, and then you just kind of moved on. You're just like, hey, let me try this beatboxing thing.
I was playing my guitar for a few weeks after that.
Yeah.
At the open mic. Like I was doing acoustic stuff. But yeah, the beatboxing came along and I was just like, let's see what happens.
You were okay trying it around people even.
Yeah, there were people there, but it wasn't like an official set. He was packing up and I just wanted to try something on the microphone real quick.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, so you were comfortable with it. And I think people recognized that, like, oh, you play guitar, and if you can do that, if you can find a way to put those two things together, it's gonna be magic. So how long did it take to develop the beatboxing skill? Because at this point you had a decade or so of guitar skills. What was the process of developing the beatbox side of things in order for you to be able to kind of proficiently put those two things together?
I actually got so involved in beatboxing that I stopped playing guitar for about a year. So
okay. Yeah,
it just hung on my wall and I didn't feel like touching it. I was so involved in beatboxing, and I would set a metronome and try and be as close to that as possible. And it was just me walking around. Well, at first it was like just trying to build up breath control for it.
Yeah.
Because the way I beatbox can be very, very intensive on the diaphragm and the lungs. It's very like Reeps One. I'll go back to him again. He's the pioneer of this technique called, they call it the inward drag. I just call it dragging because it's going both directions with your wind. It's just that, so is that breathing stuff. That's all breathing.
So that's in and out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's so cool.
Yeah. It's just in and out diaphragm usage, really intense. And that can wear you out quite a bit if you're not used to it. I was at home, driving, walking around all the time, beatboxing, trying to figure out what I can do, what sounds good when I do it to myself and other people's reactions. And thankfully I got better over time, and am actually so in tune with it now that, at least the way that I do it, that it's as easy as talking.
Wow.
It's like learning a different language. I've learned to speak music. I know that sounds epic. I'm not the first person to say that.
Hey, it is the universal language for sure. Was you putting down the guitar for a year, was it a situation where you were just so enamored with beatboxing, or was it or did you have a feeling about guitar that, like, sometimes, kind of like I said in the beginning, there's those seasons where you're just like, do I even want to do this? I feel like I need to do something different. Like I'm curious where you were at that moment.
It was all of that. I was pursuing the beatboxing, and I could imagine myself doing it more so than I could with the guitar. Like I could see myself on stage doing it, mostly because I had done it a little bit, and the response was so grand, I guess, from audiences and other musicians. And this still happens to me. I would look at my guitar and want nothing to do with it. Like this, it's almost like a burnout thing. Like this thing does not give back what I put into it. Which is not, I don't know if
I know that feeling.
Yeah, and it sucks because it still happens every now and then. Right now, I am definitely not in that period of time. I'm pretty obsessed with it. Eventually, I got back to the guitar because I got sick of looking at it, and I started to miss it. I've already put a decade into this instrument. What am I doing? That's when it started to develop in my head that I really wanted to, the way that I am now actually required me to learn a bunch of music theory stuff that I didn't want to learn. Shout out to a YouTube channel called Signals Music Studio. This guy, Jake Lizio, had a video talking about the modes of the major scale. And that's the video that finally made it click for me, like what I was learning. So I knew the minor scale all in A, in the key of A. I knew the minor scale all over the instrument for years. I could play it backwards, inside out, you name it. But I didn't know how to play it in other keys. I didn't know how to use other modes. I didn't know what they were or what their purpose was. So learning all that stuff was what led to the way I compose music now and the way I perform and the way I think about things. It's not always just based off of music theory, but that helps me kind of find direction and use my imagination more. And that was a huge jump. And actually a lot of the songs on Dichotomy, which is the album I put out at the beginning of the year, which is my first record, that was all those songs was me exploring that stuff.
All those different modes.
Yeah.
You almost like unlocked a code, and I bet too it probably reinvigorated your passion for guitar, where you felt like, oh man, the juice is not worth the squeeze, but this like new renaissance of it's just opened you up to a new world. Sounds like.
The guitar became this. I mean, it was already fascinating to me, but now it's like this endlessly fascinating thing to where I'm like, well, what if I look at it differently? What if instead of thinking of it as a scale, I think of, well, what interval do I want to jump to next? Or I'm starting to get to the point where I understand how chord theory works better.
Yeah.
So now how does that pair with the scales? And if I play this note, does it actually sound bad, or is it just my own psychology? A lot of different ways I can look at the instrument now because I learned that stuff.
That's reassuring to hear as someone who experiences those cycles and waves and ups and downs with whatever type of creative work that I'm doing. It's nice to see other people that I see, like I see you, like always, you're always promoting yourself. You're always doing your creative work. You know, people don't really see often the behind the scenes of you taking a year off guitar. It's reassuring to hear someone talk about it coming back and it coming back even stronger. So whenever I get in those moments, it'll help remind me too, right?
That happens on a smaller scale way more often, actually. I'll take a few days. I've been told by other guitar players that I know that I think are really good, to never stop practicing it. Like don't take a day off. Practice every day. That has merit, but I will say if I go a really long time without playing guitar, I come back to it, it's a lot harder. But if I take a day or two and not play guitar and I come back to it, I can play more easily than I could day of, because I've allowed the muscles to rest. Because I tend to play for long periods of time at a time. I'll spend a day playing guitar for an hour or two at a time, stop for an hour, maybe 2 hours, come back to it, stop for a half hour, come back to it. So that way I'm doing all the stuff, all the different crazy motions, or practicing a technique or whatever, give the muscles time to relax and rest and then come back into it, stop for the night or whatever. And then when I come back to it the next day or 2 days later, it's like butter. Resting is important.
For it to fully be ingrained in your muscle memory, maybe it needs a little time to bake a little bit.
I heard a theory, or not, I don't know if it's a theory, but I heard somebody say, as if it was fact, that you need to forget something in order to be able to remember it properly. And they said that with regards to memory retention, accessing information that you've learned, like just learned. If you let it set, apparently, if you come back to it later, the act of remembering it will be stronger because you actually have to remember rather than force yourself to retain in the moment. But they didn't really go into detail about it, so there's nothing I can really say that would be helpful on the subject.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's a point of diminishing return when it comes to like practicing something over and over and over and over. There's a certain point where you're not going to find the improvements by just like cranking away at it. It needs a little break for, I don't know what the mechanism is in your brain or in your, your dexterity with your hands, how it transforms it. Because it is weird where the next day you'll find it so much more like smooth. It's kind of cool how like learning happens that way sometimes. And it's not just like drill, nonstop 24/7 type of thing.
And if you really hammer at it for too long, you can injure yourself. That's part of how carpal tunnel happens. Thankfully, I've never had it. I do worry about that. I've been looking into how to stretch my hand muscles and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to worry about multiple elements. I mean, you have your hands, your breath support. Does beatboxing, does it work like vocals in the sense that, when singers oversing, they can cause a lot of damage to their vocal cords? Is there a similar kind of like anatomy in beatboxing?
It's different because you're using more than just the vocal cords. Obviously, that same kind of damage can happen. I notice that my throat tends to get really raw, or not necessarily raw, but it'll get hot and uncomfortable if I've been doing that sound a lot.
Yeah.
That tends to cause a lot of irritation over time. And I've noticed that tea doesn't tend to help too much with that. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe I need to find something more cooling.
That's true, because I mean, you're still outside of the percussive like kicks and snares where it's air kind of fast air moving. You are still developing notes and bass and kind of like that guttural sound. So that there is like it's basically a singing in a lot of ways. You're producing notes, like melodic notes.
Yeah, that does happen. I will say it's not necessarily damage over time, but people get taken aback a little bit when I say that you need to practice beatboxing safely because for one, I remember my doctor said that breathing thing, that thing, he said that if I were to do that for long enough, my body would get used to it, used to that rate of oxygen. And then when I stop, I would pass out. Thankfully, that has not happened. But that is something to keep in mind. One that has happened to me is with inward sounds. One that I do quite often is an inward K, which is that's just breathing inward and creating a K sound. What has happened to me, thankfully only during an open mic, was I fired something down into my lung directly by doing that.
Oh.
So and I was hacking and coughing, I was done. I was screwed. No injuries or anything happened, but if that happened to me during an actual set, I would have to switch back to my guitar or quit for the day.
Do you mean like something got inhaled into?
Yeah, like a piece of food or something.
Oh,
so,
wow. Oh.
Like I had just eaten before I did that, which is another thing I've stopped doing for the most part for multiple reasons. One, food particles can cause that to happen. Saliva can cause that to happen, although thankfully that's never been an issue for me. But if I eat too much, another thing that'll happen is the food will push on my diaphragm and beatboxing becomes the most grueling experience.
Oh,
when
wow.
that happens. It is
I did
so
not even
bad.
think about that.
Oh yeah, I imagine singers probably have a similar thing. I definitely have had a habit of overeating for a decade now. I'm working on it. I've been eating a lot healthier. I've been eating lighter, just trying to do what's good for me.
Yeah, I mean, those routines that help you perform at an optimal level is what separates kind of like the pro, right, to someone who might not be aware of all that stuff and just kind of wings it every single time. If you want longevity, these are things that you're going to have to think about. And especially with a skill like beatboxing, I guess I'll go back to a little bit of what you said. When you started beatboxing, you noticed just like a major reaction from the audience when you started beatboxing compared to maybe when you were playing guitar or something. There's just like a palpable difference on how someone experiences beatboxing. I would liken it to a magician. I mean, tell me if you agree with this. It's like when you see people beatbox, it might as well be like a magic act to people. It's like this look of like, how are they doing that? To give you a little background, probably 10 years ago, I was in a trio, acoustic hip hop trio. The band was me. I played acoustic guitar and I did like harmonies and a little bit of vocal. We had an MC and then we had a beatboxer. And it was almost like a cheat code to have the beatboxer with us because it'd be like, you know, we'd be band number 3 or band number 4 coming up on stage and all that stuff. And it's like immediate magnetism towards the stage once the beatboxer starts. So it's like an ultimate cheat code because it just like sucks all the energy and brings all the attention to the stage because it's such a unique thing. And it's, to me, you're creating magic. Like the audience sees it whenever you perform. I can imagine that the audience is just like seeing magic. Do you notice that when you're performing? How does that affect you, and how do you think about it when you're on stage and what your responsibility is as a entertainer?
Sometimes I notice it. There's other times where I'm so in my own head while I'm doing it that I have no idea what the audience is reacting like, which I'm trying to get out of the habit of that. I'd rather be in time with the audience. And it is, people kind of treat me like I'm some amazing anomaly of nature or something.
Yeah.
Both with the beatboxing and the guitar and the combination of the two, but even especially if I'm just beatboxing, I get treated a lot better than I view myself, you know? To where not like I think of myself negatively, but the kind of compliments I get don't reflect how I view myself. Where they're thinking of me like I'm this humongous, amazing. I had somebody tell me once that they assumed just from hearing me and seeing videos of me and reading about me that I was like this. I had companies putting millions of dollars into me and all this stuff. There's other people who are like, why are you not making X amount of dollars doing that? Why are you working jobs still? Which tells me something about where I could be, but at the same time, I don't necessarily view myself as highly as some other people do, apparently. So when I get certain compliments, there's a disconnect in my brain to where I'm like, I don't know where the hell you're coming from. And then instead of feeling good, it feels weird.
Okay.
Yeah. So like my reaction internally is very negative to it, which is not good, to where I'm like, oh no, you don't understand. It's actually like this.
It's just bells and whistles, man. Don't worry about it. It's just tricks.
Then I have to I feel the need to explain like, oh no, it's actually just this, and that's not. If I saw somebody else doing what I'm doing and I didn't know how to do what I do, I'd probably be reacting the same way as they do. Yeah,
so it's exactly like I kind of mentioned with our trio that I was in. It felt like a cheat code because if we didn't have that beatboxer, I felt like it would have been harder to get the audience to pay attention. Luckily, it's a superpower that you both have, and it's just like a skill that can't be downplayed. It's a very primal skill.
Yeah.
I don't know if you look at it this way, but it's just like for it to come out of you, outside of like the microphone or like a loop pedal, but like the fact that the sound is coming out of just like a human being and most people don't even know that's possible, it like triggers some kind of weird thing. Like I said, it's just magic. It feels like magic. You're like, how is this real? I can understand why there's a disconnect where you're just like, dude, I'm just a dude just happened to figure out how to make weird sounds with my mouth. Yeah, it's special and it's rare. And to put together the guitar with it, you've even added a level of rarity to it, which is a really cool experience, I'm sure, when people see you live. I hope that you're able to see that level of like awesomeness within it, and I'm sure you do. But it is a weird thing to kind of experience, I'm sure, when people are talking to you and you're just like, I don't know, I'm just trying my best, I guess.
I'm getting better at taking that feedback. There's this other guy, actually, Carnage the Executioner, who I'm going on tour with him at the beginning of October. He's the closest thing to me that I've found, and he's not even doing the same thing. He's got a pedal board like a guitar player does, and he's a beatboxer. He's been doing it since the 80s. Like, you could easily call him a legend in hip hop. He'll loop his beatboxing. He'll do live beatboxing, and then he'll also loop it, and he'll put effects on his voice and play with those like he's a DJ. And then on top of that, he's a really good rapper with a lot to say. So it's interesting to hear him rap, which is a big standout. I'm going to say it because I do mean it. In hip hop and in rap, for me, it's a really big standout when somebody actually feels like they have something to say, because I've seen so many people who don't feel like that. To see somebody like that, and then the fact that he does it for a living, gives me a lot of hope. Plus the fact that he is now in my corner, like he's my friend, and we talk, and he has put my mind at ease so many times with frustrations that I have about, am I doing? How do I know if I'm doing anything right? I could waste my entire life pursuing this and never get anywhere. Having someone like him want to go on a tour with me, and having somebody like him put my mind at ease about a lot of things has been really helpful. Seeing how he reacts to that type of feedback is really good for me, because it gives me a better idea of how I should react.
Yeah. So like, can you share like what you noticed in that? Because, you know, sometimes it's hard to take compliments. So like, what did you learn from I would consider them a mentor. What did you notice? What did you notice in that you're like, oh, I'm going to take that. That's a really good way to approach that interaction.
There have been a couple times where, here's one thing that happens that for some reason took me meeting him to realize that this is wrong, where I'll have a bunch of people who want to talk to me, and I'll be freaking out. My brain will be like, who do I talk to? You want to talk to me? You got questions? You want to give me your business card? What is all this? And I'll be switching to people, and I won't know where to give my attention. And I saw him in that same situation, and he just told somebody to wait because this person's talking to me. And I was like, I could have just...
Something simple like that. Like, hey, I want to talk to you. I'm talking to so-and-so first, but would love to talk to you or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why that never crossed my mind to just say, hey, I'll be with you in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to give this person my time.
That's so composed. It seems like we're similar in the same way that sometimes our brains get a little frantic. So you're like... Mm-hmm. I want to please everybody. I don't want them to leave because I don't, so then you're trying to share time with everybody. And then by doing so, you end up not giving anybody any meaningful time.
Yes. And I have felt so bad about that, thinking back, like when I finish a show and that happens, and then I'm on my way home, or I get home, I'll be thinking about it. I'm like, dude, I don't feel like I was giving anybody that was showing me respect any respect. And it's terrible, because I want to facilitate some sort of community feeling as an artist, as a performer, as somebody who people seem to view highly in that regard, and like highly enough to want to come and say something like that. So and I don't feel like I've been doing that justice.
The perspective of that is so important to keep in mind as you grow as an artist, and as you develop your skills with interacting with your community. It's always good to put everything in perspective. The people who like you are going to like you, and they're going to support you. I don't know where I was going with that, but
Yeah, I do it too.
I would love to know if you've ever had a situation where, I mean, you said that you're more in your performance, but if you've ever gotten a chance to see like the audience where, have you ever turned someone? Do you know what I mean? Where at first they're skeptical of just like, what is this? And then you slowly start seeing them go, oh, this is interesting. And then by the end going, yeah. Like, have you ever had that situation?
I've noticed a couple times where my perception of an audience member's reaction was that exact thing. I don't know if it actually was or not, because somebody can be watching you just like this, and you as a performer think they do
Mean
not
mugging.
like you. But in actuality, they're just really into what you're doing and they're studying you, and that's the way they're enjoying it. So you cannot get too focused on the way somebody seems in the audience when you're performing, because you don't know if that's just the way they're enjoying your act. But I have been told a few times that people who, and this is over several performances, mostly at open mics, I've been told this, there were a couple musicians who thought that I was just some gimmicky thing early on, and then as time went on, they were like, oh no, this is an actual thing. A little bit of a different presentation maybe of what you're asking about happened at an open mic. I was performing at a place that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. It was in Milford, Michigan. It was a bar they were doing a deal with a whiskey company in order to carry their whiskey. Some of the people in suits were in a separate room and they were talking. So I've been performing at that open mic for a pretty long time as a regular person who would sign up and come do my thing. And I was just doing beatboxing at the time, not knowing how these bigwigs would react to seeing something like this at the establishment. They kept pushing me back, and it was probably 2 or 3 hours that they pushed me back. They just kept pushing me back, and I understood. I wasn't impatient about it, but eventually the head bartender was like, okay, he's been waiting long enough, because a couple of these guys would leave finally, but then they'd have a room filled with like 6 more of them, and then one would leave, and they were just taking forever. And eventually the head bartender was like, he's been waiting long enough, just put him up, screw him. And he did, and those guys came out and sat up front and watched me. And to the beat, one of them walked up to me, pulled every bit of cash out of his wallet, and to the beat I was doing, did this into the bucket. Suits, haircuts, all that. And I was like, you put me off for this? All right. And that was one of the first big tips I ever got. It was $53.
Wow, so you just never know. You never know who's gonna take as far as an audience.
And that was more of somebody else's perception of yet somebody else. You don't know. Thankfully, most people tend to like what I do in some way. And it's kind of frustrating because I'm unique in that way, to where you could put me on any bill and I would do well, yet I don't fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Blessing and the curse, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's just like school, man. I don't fit in with anybody, but I like almost all of them. And they all seem to think I'm cool.
At the end of the day, everybody always wants to be unique, right? And it's unquestionable that what you do is just so unique. And even in your own subgenres and subsects of music, it's unique. You're bridging 2 unlikely genres together. I mean, from metal with your guitar, and then you have the guitar theory aspect that's very well versed, and then you also have like historically like a hip hop element. It's probably considered one of the main elements of hip hop. Some would argue 5th, 6th element, depending on what circles you're going into. It's an element of hip hop classically. You're not going to be able to like help yourself but to be unique. I think it's a really cool thing. Kind of at the end of my chats, I like to talk to people about the things that they're currently working on to get better at. I've loved where this conversation has gone, and I'm really curious to hear about what's something that's like right now you're feeling like it's not quite there yet. I haven't cracked the code yet on it. What would that be for you?
Well, advertising is a big one. I've been playing around with things with that I won't get into, but just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So I thought I was onto something, and then I did it again the same way, and I got absolutely nothing out of it. So
with advertising,
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Mostly trying to grow my online following. There's that. There's also the booking aspect of it, where if I send out mass emails, or if I have Alan send out mass emails to venues or festivals or whatever like that. Last year, I only went a little hard on it. I sat down one day and I sent out, I think, 33 emails to different places, and absolutely none of them responded. Now I've got a list of 70 that I'm going to go through at different times, and I'm also going to go back through that other list and just send them out again, because why not?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to put myself out there more. Being consistent with my work ethic is very difficult.
How so?
I will have days where I'm super into it, and that's all I want to do. Like, I will sit down and I'll just hammer out all kinds of the stuff that even people might consider to be the boring aspects of the job of a musician, and I'll just be completely into it. And then there's days where I don't even think it's fun to play my guitar. Like, I don't even want to look at it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Those are things that I want to work at. I think my self-image is not very good, the way I view myself. One thing I will say, I know people are all about body positivity and all that, but I am overweight. I'm 5'6" and I think 320. And I've been told I wear the weight well. But when I look at myself in the mirror, it's not how I view myself in my head. The way I view myself in my head is much more how I was when I was a teenager, where I was more slim. I wasn't thin, but I was, a healthy weight. On top of that, viewing yourself positively is another thing. There are times where, like what I said earlier, when somebody gives me positive feedback or a compliment of some kind or whatever, and it doesn't mesh with the way I view myself, it's not their fault at all. Me trying to counteract that in my brain starts to bring me way down, and then my view of myself gets brought down too. I think that started, now this is turning into therapy. I think that started when I started beatboxing at open mics, and I started getting really wild compliments. I was very scared of the idea that I might develop an egotistical attitude over time.
Okay.
So I started finding ways to suppress those compliments and dismiss them, because I did not want to become an arrogant person. I think that has only snowballed and gotten worse.
That acknowledgement is a bit telling, like if you're acknowledging that you're like, hey, I don't want to start growing an ego from this. I think people with maybe narcissistic tendencies don't even think about that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor or a psychologist, but like, I think just the awareness of that is not everything, but maybe it's step one, right? Like it's knowing that what you don't want. You're starting to at least able to put yourself in a direction where you can get towards like the direction that you do want. That is a huge step just on its own. Because sometimes you don't even know what you want or what you don't want, right? Because it's just like ideas are all over the place. I use this analogy a lot that I've heard before in my own life. I call it, I don't call it, like I didn't think of this. It's really simple. It's called the South Star.
Okay.
So, everybody talks about the North Star being like, use your North Star to guide you to where you want to go. But what if a lot of times I don't know what my North Star is? I don't know which way to go. That's part of life, right? You don't know what direction, which fork in the road sometimes you're going to go. But when I heard this idea of South Star, identify the things that you don't want to be. If you meet someone that you're just like, man, they treat people like garbage, that's a South Star. I will go the complete opposite of that. and that will help me find the North Star, right? So sometimes finding the opposite, it kind of helps me. It doesn't give me the answer, it just gives me the direction. I was like, well, I don't want that.
That sounds. Oh, what's the name of that monk? Please continue.
Maybe they thought of it.
It sounds like something this one guy said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that concept has been recycled in multiple different ways, but I love thinking about that. And, you know, when you're sharing some of the things that you're sharing, I think you identifying that South Star of like, oh, growing that ego because people are praising too much or whatever. There's ways to be able to accept praise without growing that ego. So it's just finding, okay, you know what you don't want. Now you have somewhat of a direction the other way around. I don't know, you know? So it might apply to some things and maybe not as much others. But yeah, I'm hoping that for you, I hope that you're able to be kind to yourself in finding the path towards being able to, you know, accept compliments or being able to be happy with kind of the things that you're working on. Like if you're trying to lose weight or, you know, if weight is an issue, it's a lifelong journey to figure out how to arrive at a place where it kind of feels a little more like home. So yeah, I wish you the best of luck on that. It sucks because I feel like I can just shower you with more compliments, but it's not going to help, right? It's like something that, yeah.
It's very insightful and helpful because it tells me like what I'm doing right. But when it starts to get into the territory of people telling me I'm some kind of god, then I'm like, I do not understand where this is coming from. By the way, the South Star idea that you brought up, there's this monk named Master Shi Hong Yi.
Okay.
And I don't think that's something he said, but that sounds like the kind of innovative thought exercise that he would present. He's done TED Talks and stuff, and he's got a lot of good ideas, and they're helpful to me in some ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, hey, coming from a complete stranger, what I told you at the very beginning of this is true. You have the messages, like you and I have been going back and forth maybe for a few months trying to get something locked in. And I've kind of just postponed this, right? And you're my first interview since that break. So what I'm saying is true. You helped me snap back into like, okay, cool. People like this. I like talking to people. I actually like doing this. Sometimes your brain goes, do I like doing this? But the reality is like, no, I enjoyed our conversation. There's a lot of things that I've learned and a lot of things that reassure me that like you have similar feelings that I do. And we just keep going. We just keep doing it. So in that way, you've made that impact in my life, right? So you can take that as someone giving you a fake compliment, but I'm just telling you, dude, we don't know each other, and that's true. It's just true. So take that as you want, coming from a stranger. You're doing the work, and you know I'm just rooting for you. So yeah, I wish you the best. You have any other thing to share? Is there anything you need to promote? I don't know exactly when I'll be posting this, but what do you have coming up next? Kind of like the next phase of Beatbox Jake.
I'm working currently on another record, and it's space themed. I'm working on that. I'm working on some stuff with Shattered Dreams Entertainment, which is a collective I'm a part of. If you want to talk about diversity, it's me and all the stuff you know I do. Biokillers, who are a hardcore rap group, and Klep from that group is doing some solo stuff himself. And then another band called Agatha Hag, which I could describe as like acoustic folk punk or something like that. They describe themselves as being the band that makes you proud to be a degenerate. So, you know, that type of stuff. So we're all working on stuff, and actually I'm going on a little tour in Michigan with Agatha Hag in November as well. But yeah, I'm going on tour with Carnage the Executioner in October.
Nice. Dude, well, thank you so much for jumping on. I had a really good time talking to you.
You're one of my favorite interviewers that I've done anything with. I like the way you ask questions, and I like how engaged you are, and
Wow.
how it doesn't feel half baked. You actually feel like you're interested.
Thank you. I'm trying to also take compliments well. I really appreciate that. Seriously, like that means
Isn't
a lot.
it hard?
Like I know. We're both like so uncomfortable.
Like, oh, thank you. I try.
I don't know. It's all fake. I don't know.
Yeah. I just walked in a room and got a job. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Craft Talk. Beatbox Jake and Tito signing off. We'll catch you next time. Bye.